Hi, hello! My name is Fox Arie, and welcome to Fox Thoughts. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about how I eventually figured out why Pokemon is popular, specifically the games, because I grew up with the black and white anime, and I thought that in concept, Pokemon as creatures and battle machines, tearing each other limb from limb, was very, very cool. To be less dramatic, I always thought that Pokemon as a concept, as like, oh, as a fantasy, la di da kind of thing, was great and cool. But when it came to the games, I didn't really get it. It didn't click with me the same way that I kind of understood the concept from the anime, even though I wouldn't say obviously exactly the same thing, but it's the whole thing is there of, oh, you go around, you catch it, what have you. I think the anime really spoiled me with, oh, you get to have these wonderful, strong, very emotional sometimes connections with your Pokemon, and the games is just kind of like beep boop, throw them around, make each other beat them up, yeah, ho, animal abuse, my favorite. All right, so what exactly about the Pokemon games did it click with me when I was playing them? Well, whether it be before or now. I guess let's start with my initial Pokemon experience, which was Pokemon Black. Wow. Uh, I enjoyed the beginning of it, the beginning of a brand new journey, and there's things going on, and oh, this is how you catch a Pokemon. Here's your friendly rivals, and I enjoyed all the semantics. I thought it was good. I thought it was great. I thought it was very engaging, especially for a little babby boo to get into this mystical, magical world, and of course, being influenced by just people around me, kids my age, being like, oh, look at this cool Pokemon card, look at these cool Pokemon games I have. And I was like, all right, I want to get into this. And it seems really interesting. Everyone around me is just all over it. So, getting into it and kind of just being introduced plainly to, hey, welcome to this world, name yourself, boy, girl, go. And wow, I quite enjoyed the early game and, choosing my starter. I chose Tepig because I like Tepig. Tepig fire, cool. I love pig fire. Yummy. Free bacon. No. Anyway, um, I go on my way. I catched a lot of Pokemon, different ones that I see, and for the first, good chunk of the game, let's say the first, 2 to 3 gyms or big cities that have gyms in them and what have you, I was having a good time. I was having a wonderful, hey, adventure. To be honest, to be completely fair, I was playing the game wrong. I only used my Tepig and whatever it evolved into. I don't remember its name. Apologies. Forgive me, Arceus, for I have sinned for not memorizing all 20 million Pokemon names. Ugh. But, I honestly primarily used my starter Pokemon for every single battle in the game, and I only switched to other Pokemon whenever it died and I didn't have any heals or whatever. So that is my own fault for doing that, but inherently, catching Pokemon was fun. Filling up the Pokedex was fun. I was trying to catch it all. Sorry, not catch it all, catch them all. My bad. Whoops. Clearly I know what I'm talking about. Clearly. Uh, and it was fine. It was fun. It was just that I don't know if I was just not understanding how RPGs worked in general, other than, oh, here's how combat works, whatever. Outside of the basics, I don't know what happened, but just one day I stopped playing the game. I think I was just exhausted. I think I played it a little too much. And that happens even now to this day. Whenever I play a game so much, even if I really like it, there will be a time where I'm like, oh, I need a break from this, and I play something else or two or three, and I might go through like a varied list of games before I eventually maybe come back to a game I was playing. But add that on top of me being very forgetful of literally everything in my life ever, I just kind of dropped Pokemon Black and never played it ever again. to even to this day, I've never touched the game, and that maybe is because I lost my copy. Whoops. But that aside, I think I just kind of lost the whimsy. Maybe I wasn't enjoying the difficulty, and that's my own fault. That's totally a skill issue, but I don't know. I think just the hype and energy around, oh, hey, look at this adventure, it just kind of dulled down once it kind of got into the thick of it. And that's sadly a problem I personally faced when it comes to just games in general. Even to this day, like after the whimsy of here's this brand new, fresh, amazing, spectacular adventure, it's over, and I'm like midway through. If it's not completely captivating me or like captivating me to a very exciting extent, then I kind of like, all right, let's keep going. I'm having fun, but it's just not as great as I thought it would be. It's not really a thing about me being let down nowadays. Maybe when I was younger, that I might have been it, but I guess I kind of wanted a little more specifically out of Pokemon Black. Nowadays, not just talk about Pokemon, but for anything really, I barely have high expectations for anything that comes out because you never know. Even if it's a series with the best track record ever, a bad game could come out. And I'm not saying I can't enjoy bad games, but I prefer them to be mechanically sound and they look and feel good for its time or just in general. And even if it hits all those criteria, sometimes you just simply stop wanting to do something in the middle of it. That's sadly something I struggle with just in general. I struggle with just kind of stop doing things in the middle, whether it be projects or simply something as simple as games or watching a show. It happens to me all the time, and I'm really trying to be better about it. Um, but kind of, it really depends. If it's something as long as an RPG, if I drop it for more than 2 days, it will be really hard for me to come back to it unless I was having the time of my life. It's rough for me. So that's pretty much what happened with Pokemon Black. Somehow I lost the luster and the guster buster, and I just didn't want to play it anymore. So flash forward up until I don't know exactly when. This was around the time I was in high school. I was in high school at this time. I think I have played other Pokemon games between when I was little and then. I just don't exactly remember. I did play a little bit of Pokemon Shield on Switch, but I didn't really like that one. It was just kind of like, oh, this is fine, I guess. But that wasn't. That was kind of like me being a Switch owner and wanting something to play at the time instead of, oh, I really want a Pokemon experience, so I'm just gonna overlook that, as you probably should with Pokemon Shield or Sword. I'm sorry for people who like that game. I really couldn't care about it, and I don't want to give it any time of day at all. Besides mentioning it here, I picked up Pokemon Y on 3DS. I think in 2019 because my uncle, that is 5 months older than me, very real. Don't ask how that works. Do your own research. um, he said to me, "Hey Ari, I want to play Pokemon X and Y, and or I want to play Pokemon X. You play the other one, and we just trade Pokemon and whatever." We had never traded Pokemon. I think maybe we did it or we tried to once and we couldn't figure it out. Either way, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into this adventure. It's like I'm gonna be playing it with a friend, even though my friend or uncle in this case didn't live by me anymore. But that's okay. Good thing we have the internet so we could trade Pokemon. This is gonna be a grand adventure. I gave up after the first gym. Why? Why did I do that? I just didn't get it. I just never understood. I mean, I know how to play the game. I understood the appeal is to kind of develop a relationship with your Pokemon in the sense that, oh, you go through so many battles and it's like, I wouldn't say necessarily your children, but I mean to some people I guess you can or they see that as that way, but it's just the whole idea of I'm raising this creature that will be by my side no matter what because I captured them with balls and now they're mine, and we fight other creatures. It's like you got the sense of nurturement, as like uh, I don't know how to put it. I was gonna say like as a master, like kind of like a dog and human relationship. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say here. Like you feel empowered as like a pet owner kind of thing, but also your pet can like destroy the world, more often than not. Have that kind of like power to like completely devastate cities, if not, the entire earth. um so I wouldn't say it's that kind of exactly, since it's kind of hard to fit that bill in this very particular case. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're supposed to feel the feeling of empowerment. You're supposed to feel that, hey, I'm getting stronger, and this is kind of like my found family that I developed, and all that good stuff. It's just that something about the formula wasn't clicking with me. I did enjoy catching Pokemon, but after a while, it just kind of got dull and more of a chore than anything. At this point, I wasn't trying to catch them all per se. I was just kind of catching what's in front of me and what I don't have. I didn't bother to do any sort of like hunt for anything specific. I just kind of went and got what I got. At the time, I was thinking, oh, once I beat the game, then I'll go back and fill out the decks, and then we'll trade the exclusive game Pokemons with my uncle. Obviously, didn't even get close to that, but either way, I it just never stuck with me. It never made me feel, let me finish the game. And it's not like RPGs were ever the problem inherently. I love a lot of RPGs. To give an example, when I was little, around the same time I got Pokemon Black, I also got Mario and Luigi Inside Bowser's Story, and I loved that game to death. To be fair, that is one of the most popular Nintendo DS games of all time. From what I understand, it's very charming and is a big standout in terms of just RPGs, period. So, I was quite spoiled in that aspect compared to Pokemon, which is very more or less traditional turn based. But still, I really, really enjoyed the ideas of RPGs, like getting stronger, getting through. I think what didn't help is that Pokemon inherently, for the most part, didn't have a gripping story. Not like Mario and Luigi had like the most dramatic, gripping story of all time or anything, but it had enough for me to want to keep going. Just the curiosity and the mysteriousness of it all. I'd be like, oh, well, what is this? What's going on here? What is going on? I'm inside Bowser. But with Pokemon, I mean, there's like politics. I don't understand that shit. I'm a baby. And Pokemon Y, it's just kind of like, oh, there's something going on. I don't know. Pokemon stories, when it came to the games, never grabbed me. And I think it's very important to have a story that at least entices you to keep going for RPGs, no matter how new or old it is. Sometimes people just care about the gameplay. I'm more like that nowadays, to be honest. But when I was younger, I guess I kind of wanted more in a story aspect, something to push me forward instead of just I'm doing it to do it. Because I feel like at the time, if I was just doing things to do it, and it's not letting me have instant gratification, i.e., I have to grind to level up, it just didn't sit well with me. But it's not like turn-based RPGs at the time was the barrier to entry. I certainly played a lot of like traditional turn-based RPGs on the 3DS and on the Wii. I played a few. I'm sure other places I've also played traditional RPGs, turn-based RPGs specifically, here and there. So it's not even that. I don't know, just something about it. It felt missing, or maybe it felt too easy, or just I don't know. Something somewhere didn't work. Clearly, as I keep saying over and over again. I apologize if that's annoying and frustrating. I have a bad habit of just kind of reiterating the same thing over and over again. I don't like it when other people do it. I do it too, and it's like, oh, come on. No. But I'll try to be better. Here on out. Blah. Oh, okay. Collecting myself now. So, um, where next? Where do I go from here on this journey? I eventually fell into a friend group that was basically super invested into Pokemon. Like almost everyone in the friend group, even to this day, that I'm still a part of because they mean the world to me and I love them very much. They all like Pokemon. They either like the games or the idea of Pokemon. And I still like the idea of Pokemon. In fact, I'm a huge fan of Eevee and the evolutions. I love that kind of stuff. My favorite Pokemon is Vaporeon. I know, I'm cringe. God, please save my soul. I feel like I immediately like marked a million red flags for everyone who heard that, but I'm not gonna lie. Vaporeon is my favorite. Just please keep whatever crazy shit to yourself. I know there's freaks out there, you freaky freaks. You keep that to yourself, okay? I'm just saying I have a favorite, okay? It doesn't matter which one it is, even though it's the meme sex one. I get it, please. God, I regret everything. Getting back on track here, I understood that everyone around me, not everyone, but a good decent amount of people around me that I talk to almost every day of my life for years now really really like Pokemon. They play the games, they talk about it. A couple of them even play the trading card game. Those poor bastards. I mean, I'm happy for you, but I could never. It's too much for me. I really can't do any any sort of tabletop card game. I don't think I can. I don't think I can handle it. But that aside, that kind of influenced me to want to keep trying to play Pokemon games and get into it so I can have decent conversations beside, oh, Eevee cute. I love Eevee. Vulpix fire. Whoo! You know? So, Legends Arceus came out. I know a lot of people prefer to pronounce it Arceus. Too fucking bad. I say Arceus instead. Oh well. Uh, Legends came out. I played it, and I like it. I like its approach. Very different, much more freeing, has a lot of flaws, but I thought it was fun. I stopped playing before I finished the first area. Okay, so I don't know why. It's another situation of I you know? That's just kind of how my brain works. Just so uh I just kind of dropped it. My friends actually pressured me to keep playing it because they liked it a lot, and I liked it quite a bit too, admittedly. And I even told them that that's probably why they pushed me a bit to want to play it. Nothing like too rough. They're just like, oh, "Come on, Ari, play it." They were egging me on. They weren't being mean about it, which I respect that a lot. I appreciate that a lot. And I did play a little more after a good while of kind of avoiding it, and then I stopped playing the game entirely because I just didn't feel like it was for me. I just didn't care about it after a point. Just the initial rush of, oh, let me go around and throw these balls around and fill out the information and this Pokedex and what have you. It was fun, but I kind of had my fill after a while, and I just couldn't keep going, and I don't know why. I really don't get why I'm like that. It's so weird. It's so strange. It is a game I might consider giving a second chance. Every other Pokemon game I've played, I never wanted to touch again. But Legends Arceus actually was quite fun, and that was the time I had the most fun with a Pokemon game. So I might play it again in the future. Probably not, to be honest, but I don't know. I had a good time with it. Despite that, I still dropped it like a hotcake and never touched it again. I haven't even thought about it until today. Ever since I dropped it, to be honest. Kind of happens. So, a decent while goes by. Um, when did Legends Arceus came out? I think from when I'm recording this, it came out last year, if I'm not mistaken. That really doesn't matter. I don't know why. I just got hung up in that little detail. Happens. Either way, I played Pokemon Scarlet. No, sorry, Pokemon Violet. When Scarlet and Violet came out. And you know what? It was fine. but I still ran into the same issue of I just didn't know what I wanted the game, and it just kind of go bye bye in my brain. Uh, I thought it being open world would be great, and inherently, I thought that it was quite fun. Even though it was super glitchy and has horrible frame rate issues and all that kind of stuff. Despite its very big major issues, I understood open world Pokemon game, that is great. That's where the series should go. And I'm so glad that the series actually took that step forward. Even though Game Freak is absolutely horrible at making 3D games. That's a whole thing, whole conversation I've had with friends on and on. They really need help and support and time. I'm sure they have the budget, I hope, but they really need the time to understand how to make 3D games work because they really struggle. It's ungodly bad, as I'm sure anyone and everyone is familiar with. So, even those issues aside, looking at the core point of okay, open world Pokemon, that's neat. I got this new gimmick too. That's also fine. I also liked it. I stopped playing it after a while, and I was streaming this one. My reason is that I just kind of got exhausted. And I think that ultimately made me realize, yeah, playing Pokemon games for me personally is exhausting. And there are many other games that I love to death and will play for way longer periods of time that have way more mechanics and are more specific and complex. Just something about Pokemon, even though it is inherently simple to understand. I mean, again, I played Black and White when I was little, so I understood enough to get to the fourth or fifth gym, even though I kind of played it wrong. You know, it's not necessarily, oh, there's a lot going on. It's just that maybe I overthink it. Maybe just something isn't right. Maybe it just isn't for me. And I accepted that. I completely accepted that. And since then, I haven't touched a Pokemon game up until a couple of months ago. A couple of months ago, I got myself a Game Boy Advance, and thankfully, some friends and such and so forth have gave me their games too. I've gotten some games for my Game Boy, whether it's original, color, GBA. I got games to play with my Game Boy, and I'm very happy about that. I've always wanted a Game Boy Advance for a good while, for years now, and to have one and just sit in my room, and I get to pick up and play anytime I want, is awesome. It makes me very happy. And of course, one of the first things I thought was, Pokemon. I need me a Pokemon game. Even though I don't like it and I know it's not for me, it's more about the novelty than actually caring about the content of it all. So, I found a copy of Pokemon Red. Wow, my wallet hates me. So, I played Pokemon Red. I just wanted to see how it was like. This is not a review or anything in particular, but I just gotta say, since we're on the topic, and I don't know when I'll talk about Pokemon Red again. Holy shit, that game is clunky and glitchy and just, man, Pokemon games have always been quite rough around the edges, have they? And I don't know if something was just wrong with my copy or if they're all like this, but yeah, it's rough, really rough. But either way, I got to I got to play Pokemon Red while waiting for Mario Wonder to come out. I believe that was the game I was waiting for. It was some sort of AAA Switch game. Definitely Mario Wonder, now that I think about it. So while I was waiting for that to come out, I was just killing time, playing Pokemon Red, and that is when I finally understood what made everything click, what made everything makes sense. And it's kind of weird because out of all games, you'd imagine the first rough game in the series wouldn't make somebody understand. I think it was because it was the only game on my mind for a while. I mean, yeah, I was waiting for a different game, but Pokemon Red was the only game I was super focused on, and that really made me understood and feel what I should have been feeling all along. The basic appeal is pretty much what I explained before already. Just the idea of nurturing and raising Pokemon, them being your companions, your friends, your family, even, and just overcoming obstacles with them. I think what really cement that for me is the difficulty of Pokemon Red. That game is hard as balls. It makes you grind, which nowadays I find with grinding as long as I know I'm enjoying it, and just making you just go through the motions and having to get through this and that, and it's tough. It's not like a super duper hard game at all, but it does have its moments where, hey, you will just die or just get destroyed if you're not ready and not prepared. And honestly, just going one by one with my Pokemon that I caught, just leveling them up so they're around the same level, continuing on, hitting a roadblock where a Pokemon or two died from a trainer battle, and then being like, okay, let's find a Poke Center and grind some more. That circle was fun. It was a fun circle to deal with. It was a fun circle to be a part of, and unfortunately, I had saving issues with my copy, so that is very unfortunate, and I've lost all my data. So I'm kind of sad about that, honestly. However, from the, let's say, 15 hours I did play of it, I loved it. I finally understand, and even though I had the pieces in front of me, it's just seeing it in its most basic form for myself and experiencing it the way it was intended to be experienced initially really, really helped me understand. I don't know if this is an autism thing or if I'm just completely stupid. Not maybe not that, but that's kind of why I play games from beginning to now in terms of release order. Like let's say for example, I was playing through Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time. I probably would want to play the Genesis trilogy first before going on to Sonic Adventure, then Adventure 2, and whatever. That's kind of how I experience games now. That's kind of how I experience things since there is so many compilations or alternatives and what have you. Or I go out of my way to buy the original system and cartridge and blah. Either way, no matter how I play through these games, original form factor or enhanced version, I'd like to play games in order of release order. I want to see the evolution of it all, especially if I heard it's a series that is good. And even if it starts out quite clunky, I want to see how it goes from point A to point B. And I think I really needed to see point A to really understand the love and hate for Pokemon, whether it's the originals or the newer games. I understood, but I didn't inherit it. It didn't really go through all the way. It was like I understand the knowledge, but I didn't feel the feelings. And that's something I struggle with. I can completely comprehend something in a factual point of view, but I wouldn't understand it emotionally. And now I do get it. I understand both. Now they're hand in hand. They're gonna get married next week. Married! Can you believe that? It's crazy. But in in other words, it just simply is catching these creatures, letting them be part of your life, and going through tough challenges with them. I will consider playing Pokemon games again, especially Arceus and maybe Violet, maybe Generation 2, whichever that one is. I don't remember. Purely because I now understand the appeal. Um, but not anytime soon. It really is a finicky, super on and off thing with me, but I am so happy that I figured it out. And it only took my entire life to figure it out, but I don't know. I kind of was afraid to ask because my friends around me were so dearly in love with this series and franchise. I don't know. I kind of felt awkward to kind of be like, so why do you care? Why does this matter to you? I know now I shouldn't have to, but in a way, I'm also glad I figured it out on my own. But going forward, when I don't understand why somebody likes something, or even the opposite, I will just ask them, That will make my life so easy instead of me thinking and wasting literal hours and days of my life being like, why does somebody like the thing? I don't understand. So, maybe there is a lesson to be learned out of this. Nah, fuck this. I'm just gonna go back to not picking up Pokemon games and stop playing them after a few hours. That's the real lesson we learned here. Then also, animals. They're cool. Wow. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. I felt like this episode was kind of a train wreck, but at the same time, I had fun with it, so I'm still gonna put it out there. Usually, when episodes feel very sloppy, whether it's the very beginning or the middle, I just kind of stop and I either record a different day or I go on to something else and I'll get back around to it. This is one of those times so far in this podcast where I know this episode was super sloppy and way more just compared to the other episodes that have come out so far. But I kind of want to throw it out there as kind of like a companion piece to for people to understand how my brain works better. So if someone wants to psychoanalyze me, wow, go ahead. Yeah, why not? And also just because I'm learning to not be a perfectionist. I learned throughout my life that I am a perfectionist when it comes to some things, and recording things is one of those. Anything relating to me creating content is one of those things, and I get so upset and mad at myself and frustrated and just all those things. Now there was a point where the quality is so bad. Yeah, obviously I should try again or I should restart, what have you. But I feel like I did an okay enough job to make this enjoyable to somebody out there. I don't know, not me, but somebody. So if you're that somebody or somebodies, thank you. I really appreciate it. And hey, I'll definitely try to put things more of quality, but then again, this is a free-form discussion podcast. I really shouldn't have the anxiety of, hey, I need to be better, I need to be perfect. I should just turn on the microphone and go. And I'm trying to learn that. And I think that's what Pokemon inherently in its gameplay also taught me too. That sometimes something isn't exactly what it should be or what I want it to be, but it can still be good. It could still be fun. It could still be engaging. It just takes me a while to get to that point, and I understand that. But for people who are patient with me and have been there for me, whether a long time or just now, and they're like, it's okay, take your time. We understand. Do what you need to. Thank you. I dearly appreciate it. I don't know how this became Pokemon. I don't know how to hey, here is a slice of my heart, but there you go. This episode is just a mess. I want it to over. Goodbye. Woo!